Members of the City Council, and good evening. It is my pleasure to present the proposed budget and capital improvement program for fiscal year 2018-2019. The proposed budget is balanced and on schedule. It is the culmination of 6 months of hard work by city staff along with the Council Budget Subcommittee, which is comprised of Mayor West and Mayor Pro Tem McLean, as well as the other council members who participated throughout the process that we have over the last 6 months. This financial plan is consistent with the City Council's goals and provides the funding necessary to deliver exceptional service to Santa Clarita's residents as well as businesses. In terms of priorities for fiscal year 18-19, I'd like to first speak to our commitments. Most importantly, the continued implementation of the action items contained in Santa Clarita 2020. Almost in its 4th year, this aggressive plan promises major improvements in the community by 2020. I am happy to report that we have made tremendous progress toward the completion of all the action items identified, and I am confident that they all will be completed by 2020. As a whole, the recommended budget for fiscal year 18-19 totals $203 million. This includes funding for the capital improvement program, operations and maintenance, personnel, as well as debt service. General fund revenues are projected to total $110.8 million. Sales tax continues to be the city's leading general fund revenue source, which is projected at $37 million. This is a 1.4% increase over the current year's adopted budget. General fund operating expenditures are recommended to total $110.4 million. Not only is the recommended budget balanced, but it also maintains a general fund operating surplus of just under $400,000. Public safety continues to maintain the largest portion of the general fund at 23%, or just over $26 million. For the upcoming fiscal year, the operating reserve will remain at 20%, which is the council's goal, and amounts to just under $17 million. Again, the operating reserve is essential as it provides a savings account in case of an emergency. Now I'd like to briefly discuss some of the proposed additions to the recommended budget, and again reflects the city's commitment to the Santa Clarita 2020 plan. I'll begin with the additions to that are intended to support public safety, quality of life theme. In the area of public safety, there's a 2.57% adjustment included in the sheriff's budget for their contract, which amounts to just over $565,000. The next item under public safety is $107,000 for the liability trust fund. This is a trust fund account that is funded by contract cities to reimburse LA County Sheriff's Department for costs related to litigation resulting from cities' contract operations. This is about a 0.5% increase over the last fiscal year for a total obligation of 10.5% for the next fiscal year. This year I am recommending a few additions to the contract for our sheriff station, which totals just over $620,000. This includes one additional deputy, a 56-hour deputy, one additional crime analyst, and the promotion of 2 operations assistants. I'm recommending that the city use $100,000 in drug forfeiture fees or funds to support the domestic highway enforcement team, allowing that team to conduct overtime operations as well as needed training. Just under $50,000 is being recommended for a program specialist in the Defy in Santa Clarita Valley program. This program continues to expand and is now being requested in the elementary schools for 4th, 5th, and 6th graders. And there's an additional parent outreach component. The expansion added an additional 10,500 students across 37 elementary schools. And again, we are in the middle schools and the high schools, so we're really expanding the program and making a huge impact. Concerts in the Park has become a staple in our community for families and friends. Attendance is now anywhere between 4,000 and 9,000 for the 8 concerts held from July through August. I'm recommending an increase of $25,000 for increased cost to performers, as well as an increase for the sheriff's presence at these concerts, just by the nature of the size that it has grown to. Under the quality of life theme, building and creating community, there's $150,000 being recommended for a comprehensive update to the non-motorized transportation plan. There's an environmental administrator is being requested at just over $95,000. Who will provide vital support on all projects with regard to the required National Environmental Policy Act, as well as the California Natural Resources Agency reporting, which has become quite extensive. The 2008 Parks and Recreation Master Plan is currently going through an update led by city staff. To assist with this update to the plan, I'm recommending $50,000 be added for polling and focus groups to gather input from the community to ensure that a needs assessment provides that update. $25,000 in funding is being recommended to hire a consultant to develop a comprehensive community-wide arts and cultural marketing program, which was identified in the council-approved Arts Master Plan. This consultant will develop a strategy to enhance awareness of arts and culture through the new SantaClaritaArts.com website to residents and visitors in the community. For community beautification, $1.2 million is being requested for landscape maintenance and development reserve projects. This request will address the planned repair and replacement of infrastructure maintained by the city's L&D program. $705,000 is being requested for an increase in the water utility base budget. This request is a result of the surcharge and water rate increases approved by Santa Clarita Water retailers last year. Approximately $250,000 is coming from an increase in the usage now that the water restrictions have been lifted, and the additional $450,000 is simply increased costs from those rate increases I just discussed. Next up is the theme of sustaining public infrastructure. There is $87,000 being recommended to increase solid waste diversion in the city. This funding is for 6 solid waste programs for multifamily properties and to develop a plan to help the cities reach the state's goal of 75% diversion by 2020. Just for the note there, we're about 67% right now, so we have a little bit of a gap to close. A general maintenance worker is being recommended at a cost of just under $80,000 to handle increased service requests and maintenance of the new parking structure as well as the libraries. $34,000 is being recommended to replace 21 street identification signs in the Plum Canyon area and bring those up to the city standards as they become annexed in a new community within Santa Clarita, the city of Santa Clarita. $27,000 is being recommended for a power washer and part-time staff to increase those services on the city's right-of-way and facilities such as the Metrolink stations, libraries, as well as the McBean Transfer Center. For the Santa Clarita 2020 theme of proactive, transparent, and responsive government services, I am recommending $1.2 million of one-time funding be included in the budget for contractual services to pay for 1 contract plan checker, 4 contract building inspectors, 1 part-time permit specialist, and funding to send plans for external plan review. As the council is well aware, activity in the development arena is significant right now. The current levels are supported by the fees. In 2017, just as a metric here, the city conducted more than 18,000 inspections and issued more than 5,000 building permits. $266,000 in one-time public education and government services access or PEG funding is being recommended for a phase 1 of 3 to enhance and upgrade the City Council Chamber's outdated audio-visual system, which is now, believe it or not, 20 years old. $154,000 has been requested for an increase in contracted janitorial services. This is to go from 6 days per week to 7 days per week at the 24 park sites, the Santa Clarita Sports Complex, as well as the Newhall Community Center. To keep up with the increase in cases, I'm also recommending a senior code enforcement officer for a total of $130,000, which includes a vehicle. In 2017, the city processed just over 4,000 code cases, the highest number of cases processed in a calendar year, and which is actually a 44% increase compared to 2016. I am also recommending the addition of a purchasing and risk administrator for a total cost of $80,000. The number of contracts and claims processed by the city has steadily risen over the last 5 years. Claims have increased 216% since 2012, and the number of contracts processed has increased by 82%. $35,000 is being requested to pay for a consultant to conduct the city's public opinion poll this fall. This survey is conducted every other year to collect feedback from residents and to ensure that we are meeting the needs of the community through our services. Excuse me. The proposed budget also includes $5,000 to continue the military banner program, which the council discussed recently. Another critical part of sustaining public infrastructure is the annual vehicle and equipment replacement program. In 2015, staff formulated a 3-year plan to replace 13 commuter coaches, 14 local buses, and 13 dial-a-ride vehicles, and put that over multiple years to to spread out that capital cost. This year, we're in the final year of allocating funds for the completion of this plan, and we'll replace 2 compressed natural gas or CNG commuter coaches, 3 CNG local transit buses, and 2 articulated buses, all which have reached their end of their useful life at a total cost of $4.1 million. When a vehicle or piece of equipment reaches the age of its useful life, it also is part of the replacement program. We have an annual vehicle and equipment replacement program, and this year that total budget is just over $900,000. We'll be replacing 12 trucks, 4 pieces of equipment, and again, is funded through various sources. I'm also recommending the replacement of the self-checkout kiosk at all 3 libraries. The new kiosk will bring the system in compliance with the current credit card regulations, operating system, and security platforms at a cost of just over $100,000. I would now like to bring your attention to the capital improvement program portion of the budget for fiscal year 18-19. I am recommending a capital budget of just over $28.5 million, which is about a 15% or $5 million lower than the current year's adopted capital budget. Of the recommended amount, $4.2 million is for rebudgets or pending capital projects that will move into the next fiscal year. The decrease in this year's CIP budget is somewhat misleading. As we move into construction and break ground on some of the major projects that we're working on, the funding will be brought to the council at that time for appropriation, so that $28 million number will see a significant increase over the course of the fiscal year. At this point, I'd like to demonstrate some of the highlights of the new capital program. For the Santa Clarita Valley Quality of Life theme, Building and Creating Community, the construction of Phase 7 of the Intelligent Transportation System, or ITS, will total $2.3 million. This phase will improve roadway circulation and efficiency of the city's traffic signal network by enhancing the existing adaptive signal system performance, providing real-time data to the city's traffic management center, and eliminating gaps in the city's current fiber optic interconnection system. The Via Princesa Park rail crossing design will total $1.1 million. This project includes the design of a grade-separated railroad crossing to access the future 26-acre Via Princesa Park located at the Via Princesa Metrolink station. The Candy Country Community Center will continue the design and permitting process in preparation for the construction with an additional $450,000 in funding for this next fiscal year. I'm happy to report that this project is moving right along and on track to be completed by 2020 and will be a tremendous resource for the community. Moving on to community beautification, this year's citywide major thoroughfare median turf removal budget is at $789,000. Per state law, this project will remove existing median turf on Via Princesa between Sierra Highway and Warehouse Way. This project will remove existing turf, replace it with a new landscape palette, install appropriate irrigation, excuse me, and new concrete paver maintenance strips. The citywide reforestation program for fiscal year 18-19 will maintain our city's award-winning status as a Tree City USA and will total $175,000. This includes planting a minimum of 400 trees to fill remaining vacancies along our major thoroughfares. For sustaining public infrastructure, the annual overlay and slurry seal program, utilizing grant funds, will total $11.5 million this year. This is up about $1 million to $1.5 million over the current year. This proactive program fills cracks or fully replaces roadways to improve the city's roads and extend their useful life. The Aquatic Center concrete pool deck coating is budgeted at just under $500,000. This project will install a deck coating material on the surface of selected areas of the pool decks, extending the life of the decking for another 5 to 7 years. The concrete rehab program for this next year will total $400,000. I'm happy to report that we have reduced this backlog down to only 1 year wait, or actually within the 1 year that is reported, to get sidewalks replaced and repaired throughout the city. For the 18-19 playground equipment replacement program, Creekview Park will receive new playground equipment. This project will cost a total of $264,000 and will also include a new drainage system for the play area to extend the life of the equipment and the rubberized surface. For the 18-19 intersection improvement program, upgraded signal equipment will be installed at Whites Canyon and Nadell Street and McBean Parkway and Del Monte Drive. This project will cost $115,000 and will include new underground wiring, new signals, pedestrian heads, and new pole box lids. In addition to these major projects, I'm also recommending approximately $2.7 million for other projects, including signal modifications, guardrail upgrades, lane striping, and circulation improvements. Approximately $600,000 for bridge and paseo maintenance is also recommended, and approximately $900,000 for maintenance to the city's park facilities, parks, and trails. This includes projects like playground and court resurfacing, facility refurbishments, play area shade structures, and trail fencing replacement. Again, this year's budget does not include the funding for the new sheriff's station project. Grading is projected to start in late June 2018, this month, and we plan to bring a construction contract to the council in early 2019. This contract will be upwards of $50 to $60 million. This project will move the sheriff's station and their operations into a brand new 40,000 square foot facility that is more centrally located in the city and will be the city's most expensive project to date. The next and final step in the budget process is the adoption of the budget, which is scheduled for the next council meeting of June 26. I'd like to close. I'd like to again thank the City Council. I'd like to thank the Budget Subcommittee made up again of Mayor West, Mayor Pro Tem Marcia McLean, for your guidance and direction and leadership. Because of the City Council's good decisions over several years, we were able to create a balanced budget that funds several City Council priorities and keeps the city moving in a very positive direction. I'd also like to thank the staff budget team, the department heads, and all the other staff throughout the organization who have worked hard to produce the draft budget tonight and is being presented to you for consideration. That concludes my presentation, and I'm happy to answer any questions the council or public may have.
Council?
Yeah, I just would like to obviously add my appreciation and again, maybe, Ken, if you wouldn't mind, I know we had the presentation here as kind of part of our public hearing, but if you could just run down the number of hearings and meetings that we've had, and I think it's just important for the public to realize that what you're bringing to us today, and I know you had articulated, been 6 months worth of work, but we have had multiple hearings before, the council, Parks Commission, Planning Commission, Arts Commission, and just maybe just kind of highlight the amount of work and public opportunities for public participation on the budget.
Sure. Thank you, Councilman Smythe. The budget process is a very lengthy process, as you mentioned, and you really hit some of the highlights. We start the budget process in December. We come to the council in the very beginning of the year with a study session that includes all of the commissions, the Arts Commission, the Parks Commission, the Planning Commission. We do somewhat of a state of the city budget. We talk about what some of the priorities are. We give feedback in the very beginning. That is an open meeting that the public can also give feedback and things that they'd like us to consider as we develop the budget over the next several months. We come back, we work with the Budget Subcommittee, and those are publicly noticed meetings, and get direction and make sure that we're going the right direction that the council would like to see. We come back in May with another public meeting again contains both the City Council members as well as all of the commissioners, where we kind of provide an overview of the proposed budget that then goes to the Planning Commission at an open public meeting where they take an action on it. It comes to a public meeting here tonight, and again, we'll be back before the council again in 2 weeks for final adoption. So there are several opportunities for the